how do we structure things to be more consistent and follow through? What do you guys think?
I think a combination of calendars and consequences. If there's something that's coming up in the near future.
I love that band.
Yeah.
Band, dude. It's so cool. Yeah, they're punk as hell. Cals and consequences. Come on.
It works.
Aaron and Devin were just discussing how to start and even frame this conversation about goals and resolutions. And I kind of jumped in here at the end and said, let's start at least with discussing what happened at the last meeting that we did this, right? So the last time we did this kind of as a group and in a formal way was at the Winter Park Firesides. And all three of us were there, and including about 7 or 6 other folks. And we went around and gave our goals, our intentions for the new year. And Aaron's going to get a chance in a moment to explain where we all went wrong. I'm going to lay open bare my chest and kind of offer myself as the first example to go from. And I think this is a good place to start. And then inevitably, eventually, we'll end up talking about 2026 goals and how, probably more effectively to set those. So just to start us off, in Winter Park, we all got into a crescent circle, went around and talked about our New Year's resolutions for 2025. And I believe I volunteered to go first then as well. So this is good mirroring. So I jumped in there with my big Frida jacket, and I was like, Aaron, let me take the mic. I'll give them a perfect example of setting goals. So I said probably my name, my pronouns, and my age, and then I said, so my goal, the big goal for me this year is to learn ASL and Spanish. And I even said, I think to begin learning, right? To start taking classes in ASL and Spanish. And I gave even like a loose, kind of in review feels like concepts of a plan, but I gave a loose plan of like, I'm going to do 1 a week. And then I was explicit. I said, and it's not going to be on Duolingo or Linguist because I picked those up and I put those apps down. I'm going to hire a human being because that's the solution. That's the key. Is I need an accountability buddy. I need a person that I'm responsible to meeting up with, much like a trainer at the gym.
So those sound like very ambitious and great goals. What happened, Stephen? Were you able to learn Spanish and ASL in this whole year? Wow.
Well, first and foremost, hablo español poquito, pero entendí más que lo hablo. We were trying to sharpen, okay, not to start on Spanish. But as far as ASL is concerned, I know how to say Chicago and New York and New Orleans. I don't know. The answer is no, Aaron. In fact, it's worse than no. I didn't do any of those things that I said I would do. I mean, didn't even jump into FocusMate to like have a day where I look for instructors. You know what I mean? What I did was laugh out loud alone on my balcony last night, reviewing parts 1 and 2 of the Firesides when I got to that part. And, ever the blushing bride, like, I didn't do any of that. Not even a single thing. And so, I mean, you got to pause and laugh at yourself. But let's get real. Let's get practical. Take back the mic. What happened, right? I didn't do it. I didn't do those things.
Yeah, and I think this isn't just a you thing. This is a thing that comes up for a lot of us, right? We set these ambitious goals, resolutions at the beginning of the new year, and we think we're going to do all these things. And when we do that, we have this imaginary amount of time and energy, and it's the future you, right? You think, oh, the future me has endless amounts of energy and ability and time and capacity to be able to do all of the things that I ever wanted to do. And then the reality sets in again, right? Because we kind of discount. It's that future discounting thing. We discount all of the other things in our lives, the work, the relationships, all of the commitments that we already have. Because what we're imagining is we're just like, erase all that stuff. We're just going to focus on this thing, this goal, this thing that I'm trying to have this resolution surrounding. But ultimately, I think what we're going to get into today is talk about how to set these things up a little bit better. And what we're maybe going to try to do is give you guys some examples on how to focus on process goals versus outcome goals and what the difference is on that, and why structuring them in that way can help us achieve those things more consistently and better than just setting this broad outcome goal. But before we get into that, I want to check in with Devin, and I'll even talk about my stuff too, if I can remember what I had said there. But Devin, do you remember what you had set for your goal and how you did?
I think the big one that tends to come up in my mind is trying to make more time for things that I perpetually tell myself I don't have time for, like practicing bass more often.
Hobbies and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, I've made some progress. I am not quite where I'd like to be, but I did, as I was saying at the beginning of the year, make time for bass lessons. I think through January, February, maybe a little early March. And I've been spending some more time, applying some of the things we went over. I even ended up tracking down a 5-string bass scales poster. So sometimes I can practice scales if I am not leaning towards any song in particular. And I'm thinking that I'll probably will go ahead and schedule some follow-up sessions with that same bass teacher. It's one of those things where I have to just kind of move forward with it. I can't be concerned about it not being perfect or the timing not being ideal enough. At some point, it's just kind of taking that step regardless of what it's going to look like.
Yeah. And I noticed, not to pick on your language here, right? But I noticed you did something that a lot of ADHDers do without even thinking about it. It's the thing of probably, maybe,
I heard the problem.
I might, I could, right? Those qualifying phrases that almost what they do is they leave the door cracked as a way out, right? Like it's not, and we don't think about this. So this isn't being critical of you, but this is just kind of the way I think we colloquially talk about things. And we're like, yeah, I probably should do that. But what does that do for us, right? If we want to actually follow through, it's hey, we need to commit to it. We need to use commitment first language. Like, I'm going to, at this on Monday, starting next week, right? Like actually have more solid commitment language rather than it being wishy-washy.
Well, to jump in, you've got two use cases then, Aaron, who do not yin yang perfectly. You have somebody who used explicit commitment language, who did not lift a pinky on those two things. Maybe a pinky. Maybe I lifted a pinky, but not much more than a pinky on those languages, right? Then you've got Devin, who is using committophobe language, which is typical of us ADHD adults, but actually is doing something about it.
Yeah, no, and let's recognize the success, the wins, because I think I don't want to gloss over that.
Sure.
Like you tend to downplay your own accomplishments, Devin. You're very humble, and I think you don't like to brag even when you have a success. But now is the time to pump yourself up a little bit and say, I think what I was hearing in there is you actually did do some of that, right? You did more than you had the previous years because you had that in mind of I'm going to do some more of these hobbies and have commit more time to playing the bass and other things. Is that right?
Yeah. And to your point, one of the reasons why I like to use the words probably is because when I decide that I am going to take steps towards something, if I use all or nothing language, I might be a little bit more reluctant to get started because now if you don't get started, there's this larger wave of disappointment and you can find it, I find that it's harder for me to take those steps if failure or non-completion is such a large concern of mine. So if I use the phrase probably, it gives me wiggle room to not nail it, but to still have made an attempt.
Aaron, help me out. What's the healthy and unhealthy version? And I don't mean to be so binary with healthy and unhealthy, but what's the better case practice? I'm hearing some wisdom there, right? Like we're doing ADHD is doing a weird balancing act where we don't want to shame ourselves for failing to do something we said we were going to do and live in that rumination or whatever. But we don't want to give ourselves too many exits that we can squirrel our way through and never do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what you're saying, Devin, is if you have too much pressure on yourself at the beginning of having to do it, and if you say the commitment language, and I do think you're spot on why we avoid committing to things. This might even be appointments or scheduling stuff or saying, okay, I will show up. I will do this. I'll be there for this commitment for a friend or whatever it might be. Sometimes we'll like say, oh, let me check. I might be able to make that or something, right? And we're hesitant to be able to even say it resolutely. I will do this. I'm going to. I'll be there. I get that. Yes, it can take off pressure, and sometimes that can be helpful, and often is, I think. However, the framing is where I think we're going a little bit wrong here. We're still framing success and failure as completion of the task as an outcome, right? If you're afraid of failing, did I do it or did I not do it? Did I do it to a certain extent?
On my face. I heard it. Yeah. So you can say, I will get this piece of this done.
Precisely.
Which is accomplishing both. Commitment, first language, and it's attainable.
Yes. What we need to do is think of it more of, I'm not committing to finishing and completing the thing. What I'm committing to is the action, the behavior, the routine, the structure that will help me get to where I want to be if I do that. Right. And that's the process. That's the difference between a process goal and outcome goal. The process goal defines what's the process and structure that's going to help me do this thing, right? So like if it's, I'm learning a new language, I'm going to commit myself to doing, X number of lessons per week or X amount of studying per day or something like that, right? So that practice and is as good as we can be or as precise as we can be with the actual specifics surrounding that, the better. And we don't want to be too rigid and lock ourselves in, and especially it has to be realistic, right? It can't be like, I'm gonna study, 15 hours a day. Like, come on, that's not. We're setting ourselves up for failure, even in the process. We're doing that. What we want to do is think about, okay, well, what's realistic? What's not something that's too intimidating? Like it should be doable, so it shouldn't have such a high bar that it's unattainable. We want to shoot for something that like we feel like, hey, yeah, this is like in the realm of it's a challenge. It's going to take some effort. There's going to be some amount of discomfort. And whenever we set some kind of goal, we're adding something. It's an additive effect. Right. There's going to be some amount of challenge there, regardless. So don't expect that it's going to be super comfortable and easy, right? We have to expect there's some uncomfortable moments in the pursuit of this thing. We're going to have to sacrifice something a little bit, right? I'm putting anything we add, it's like there's an opportunity cost of we're putting this in, we're slotting this thing in. If you're practicing bass or practicing language study, you're doing that for 30 minutes and maybe you have to shift other things around. You're not doing something else because you're using that opportunity cost of when I'm doing this, I'm also forgoing this kind of activity too. So you're setting aside something else. But if it's in service of a bigger goal, like in service of like this development, this self-improvement, and having this process, it can be really effective.
Hey, Stephen here. Sorry to interrupt. We just wanted to take a brief moment to tell you about this week's sponsor. At Attention Different, our mission is simple. Offer ADHD adults proven practical strategies for living a more balanced, fulfilled ADHD life. And that is why we are thrilled to offer our latest course, Thriving with Adult ADHD. While other courses might focus on the pain and struggle of being an adult with ADHD, and we do not want to minimize that, this course is designed around accessible, relevant, and applicable techniques that address the most common challenges facing ADHD adults. Inside Thriving with Adult ADHD, you will learn how to improve focus by using tools to cut through distractions and get things done. Learn to manage your energy for productivity without burnout. You'll learn to shift your mindset beyond survival mode and instead focus on personal growth. Thriving with Adult ADHD features 2 hours of on-demand video, 10 downloadable resources, lifetime access to the material, and a satisfaction guarantee. Go to attentiondifferent.com/thriving to sign up now. That's attentiondifferent.com/thriving to sign up now. Hey, thanks for the quick break. Now back to the interview.
Yeah, I want to underscore opportunity cost just for listeners. And for myself, that was a big word to re-enter my atmosphere. I knew what opportunity cost meant, coming out of college and grad school particularly. But when my father, I think I said this on another episode before, but when my father used it in regards to weed use, right? That opportunity cost was the big word from that conversation. You'll note that a really good conversation because there was really no shame or guilt tripping. There was just a casual chat like the one Aaron just had. And opportunity cost was the 800-pound gorilla in the room that I wasn't paying attention to, right? It wasn't the act of doing the thing. It was the bookends. It was the stuff that happens before and after the ritual. It is the time and energy, even more important, the energy that you were investing into something that you no longer have to invest in other things. And the thing you're investing energy into might zap even more of your energy that you would have had if you didn't do the thing, right? So the reframing the way that I look at goals, intentions, behaviors, disciplines with opportunity cost at the top of the pyramid, the more sort of sanity and rationale I carry around with me when having a potentially emotionally dysregulative conversation, right? So like a prime example would be an old friend or a good friend being like, we don't talk a lot. It's been like 3 months or 4 months we don't talk. And when I'm at my best, I go, this person is neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent. We both like to do lots of things. I'm pretty sure neither one of us has been beating the other one's door down to try and get their attention. My opportunity cost is too high amongst all these activities that I'm doing, right? It costs too much of my time and energy to do a Monday through Friday. I don't have an hour to give to person X on the phone, right? And understand the other side of the same coin, right? That if you spend an hour or two catching up with 20 people, all right, that's 40 hours of talking on the phone 1 week. I don't think ADHDers are really good at this, right? Like we this is not a skill that we naturally have in our stack. And I personally will admit that I run into conflict with this daily, absolutely daily. This is how we make to-do lists that are too long. This is how we end up setting intentions for the year that are too great, that aren't able to be broken down in pieces, or we don't break them down in pieces. But it also gets to a really deeply interpersonal socializing level too, like especially around the holidays. If I say yes to too many people and too many things, I will not have enough time for any of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's all about the balance in not getting trapped in that all or nothing thinking of like, either I'm calling all my friends back and I'm doing this whole day of catching back up with all the people I've been meaning to catch up to in the last 3 months. We do that, right? We have this tendency to be like, I need to have
doing that for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. I need to have this uninterrupted huge block of time to get back to all the people. But no, this is an important point when we're designing our resolutions, our goals, even the process goals, right? What we want to think about is, how does this action align with my values? Because like you said, with the opportunity cost, everything we do, there's a cost on the other end of what we're not doing. And we have to be okay with that, because that's life. Life is not perfect. It's not every choice we make in each moment is going to be the perfect one. That would be great. But life is full of these choices of like, okay, do I work the extra hour, or do I spend that? I would go home and clock out of work and spend time with my kids, right? Do I go to the gym, or do I show up early to the office and prepare for the meeting or something, right? Like there is this always a choice of, if I'm doing this, then I'm not doing this, or I could be doing this also. And where we get stuck, especially for ADHD brains, and Devin, let me know what you think on this too. But like, I think where we tend to get stuck is either we try to think I have to make the best choice, the perfect choice, or I get overwhelmed by all the choices because I haven't made them yet. I get overwhelmed and I kind of like shut down or get confused and say, oh, well, I don't even know. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. And I don't even know what to do right now. Do you relate to this at all, Devin?
Sort of. For me, when it comes to social obligations, future Devin loves writing checks that present Devin can't cash. So it's not uncommon for me to have these undertakings where it's like, maybe there's 2 days in the week where I don't have plans after work. And by the end of that week, it's like, man, I remember when I didn't have plans. that was a golden era. But
Yeah.
when it comes to things where it's like, oh, maybe I need to look at having some trees trimmed at our house. I need to clean the gutters. These other things where there's this idea of how urgent is it, because there isn't a time sensitivity to it. So I would say I have more of the decision fatigue when I don't know how urgent a task is that I need to figure out.
Ooh, prioritization, Aaron. Task prioritization. I really do.
Yeah, the urgency, urgency and importance of the task, and it can align with the values, because what we want to ideally do is have our behaviors make an intentional choice that we're still good with at the end of the day. When we look back at this, it doesn't have to be the perfect choice. It just has to be a good enough choice that you're happy with. Like, and if we can accept the consequence of that choice, if we pay the opportunity cost of the decision, we're okay with it. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I know I'm leaving this thing undone at work, but guess what? I'm going to show up for my kid's soccer game because that's really important. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to take the heat on the next day, or I'll have to show up early to get this thing done tomorrow. And that's just it. I'm okay with that. I made that choice. For ADHDers, letting go of some of the shame and guilt that we're feeling, that's hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can align it with their values and intentionally decide to make this choice over this choice, and not just do stuff on autopilot, like I'm just doing it because others expect it of me. I'm doing it because that's what a functional, healthy adult is supposed to do. I'm doing it to please someone else, to not disappoint someone else. But if I'm making a choice of like, no, you know what? I know this is important. This aligns with my value. I want to be there. A really important thing for me is to be a great father or a great friend, or my value is I want to have connection with people. So I'm going to value the connection over wealth or money. There's a whole list of values if people are interested in kind of
I was just
looking up and because you have to know your values, you have to understand and identify your values first.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, because you're talking about values, but a simple question. How often do you guys reflect on your values based on this conversation alone? Like, is it a daily, weekly, monthly?
I mean, for me, I have to, like, I think it's a moment by moment. It's a daily practice of when I'm making decisions and plans and executing on those.
Even if it's
I'm
like a fraction of a second. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm checking in with myself. Like, does this choice align with my values? And I'm weighing it. Now, I'm not going through the entire list, right?
No.
That takes a lot of mental energy. But it's more of a gut feeling, because if I know at least what my top 5 or 10 values might be, then I can kind of like do a quick gut check of like, how does this feel? Does this feel like it aligns with those values, or is it not in alignment? Is this outside of that?
Yeah. Does this line up with you, Devin? Like, is this a daily internal process?
I mean, I definitely spend a decent chunk of time trying to reflect on that. Whether it's, maybe saying something that feels like it would have been a little mean, even if it's about someone who will never be in the same room as me. Like, does that feel out of character for me to say it? Do I feel like I was showing up to support a friend or a loved one, partner, in like my absolute best capacity? What does it look like to be in a place where I'm taking care of myself, but also setting myself up to also be able to remind, like, my partner, for example, that she can rely on me when she's going through it. So depending on the climate, depending on the week, depending on the meetings, depending on the day, I might find myself checking in more frequently than not, but at least a few times a week, just because you wonder if you're still the same I don't want to say still the same person you set out to be, but I think working towards being the same person that you set out to work towards.
Yeah, working towards it.
Yeah, there's something that Devin did that's really cool, if I could highlight it.
Yeah.
And I think you just taught me something about stand-up comedy, Devin, like comedy in general. I think comedy, to be funny, you must understand both sides of a moral argument, but you don't necessarily have to agree, right? But to be funny, you have to understand both sides of it, right? And Devin was just funny in a moment when he said, even if there's a person that I really can't stand who's not in the room and I'll never be in the same room with them, I have to wonder, is saying something negative or mean about that person when no one's in the room, does that still count as going against my values? Like you just set that up, right? I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really beautiful, it's like if a tree falls in the forest kind of a moment there. Like values aren't a performance. You're not performing values for someone in the room. Values are yours. Devin just displayed a moment where he would be fine if he said, man, he, she, they is such a, they're so bad at singing, whatever. Like they're so bad at that thing. I can't stand when they try and sing in the room. And Devin thinks and reflects, is that me? Is that Devin? Do I want to be the kind of guy who alone in a room spits venom about people who aren't there, at all? Period. Like, do I want to be the person who shit talks people when they're not in the room, in every capacity? And he gave us a hint. No, he doesn't. Like, he gave us a hint at what that value is. And I think that's a really good example of finding a value in setting it and making it unique to you. That wasn't performed for anyone. Devin made me laugh because Devin's good at making people laugh. But I caught you on that moment of like, this is actually a value that doesn't require people to be in the room to affirm in me. This is something that I believe about myself. So I just wanted to highlight that.
That's important. It's important to do that. Our values are not for other people. Like you said, they're not performances. They're connected to something deeper.
Yeah.
And in our behavior, we are what we do and what we say in the world, right? We're not what we, obviously intentions have some importance because they kind of guide behavior oftentimes. But we don't get off the hook if our intention was, I wasn't intending to hurt someone, but I said this really horrible thing or I spread a bad rumor about them. Like, no. Or like, I intended to do the thing I set out to do. And I've been intending to do it all year. Well, great. But that was still in your head. It was an idea. You didn't do it, right? You're not that thing. I can't be like, I'm intending to run, so I'm a runner, right? Like,
this is why The Secret makes me really annoyed and the power of positive thinking. And if you come to me and ask me, have you seen or read The Secret and do you agree? I will say some things that are not going to sound very nice, but I promise you they are deeply researched, well-researched, and backed by science.
That'll have to be another episode of getting
No,
into,
but I agree with you. And it was a very cool way. It was just a very simple way of saying it, right? Like you can set intentions till the cows come home, but if you don't act on them, as an old mentor used to say, you're waiting to be served, right? Like if you're sitting there with an intention that you're not acting on, then you're waiting to be doted on. And that's different. That's different than doing something.
Yeah. Are we waiting for life to happen to us?
Right.
Or is it happening for us in a way where we have a part to play?
Yeah. Is it what is the old phrase? Like, are you making life happen or is life happening to you?
Yeah. It's like, sure. if life is life, are you kind of a victim of your circumstances? Is life happening to you or is life happening for you?
Yeah.
And the more that you frame it in the former of like, or the latter, it's like, life is not happening to me. I'm not the victim of life.
Right.
Like, just because life let me down on the expectations of what I thought I deserved. I deserved the promotion. I didn't deserve to have the bad thing happen to me, to get sick, to have my kid or my wife or someone come down with some illness or my parent to die or to have that horrible thing happen, to get fired from a job. If we're a victim of it, it takes the power out of it, of like, what can I do or what can I learn? How can I grow? Where can I...
Yeah.
What do I do going forward? Right.
I like that 4. I didn't understand the use of 4, 2 versus 4, but after you've illuminated it, after you've expanded a bit, I get why it's for like life happens for me or for us, but it happens for you. Like it's there for you. The death of someone does, if you reframe it this way, it does not happen to you. It happened for you. What did you learn from it? What feelings changed in you? How did you evolve from that tragedy? Right.
Yeah. And it's not that it's not hard. But,
No.
Yeah. Like we're not saying, move on and get over it quickly. It's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying take the time you need to process what's going on and feel it intensely. And you may never get over the thing. That's okay. But you have to get on with things at some point. Right?
Yeah. Are you making something with it? Are you moving with it, or are you defending against it, right? It's like these different power positions. One is disempowered and one is empowered, right? One is I am defending against this thing. And it becomes so singular. This thing is made to attack me versus like, this is one of a million things that will happen for me while I'm around. And I'm going to take this in my big old sack along with all the other ones and do something with it.
Yeah. Let's get into a little bit how to structure, going back to the process, the routines, to be more consistent. How do we structure things to be more consistent and follow through? What do you guys think? What helps? What doesn't help?
Devin, you take a whack.
Sure. I think a combination of calendars and consequences. If there's something that's coming up in the near future.
I love that band.
Yeah.
Band, dude. It's so cool. Yeah, they're punk as hell. Cows and consequences. Come on.
It works. If there's something that I need to do, it helps to be able to put it on a calendar, but also put it somewhere where it's public facing. Maybe I want to go to a workout class. Right? I have a class pass through my employer. And if I book a class and don't cancel within that 24-hour window leading up to the class, I'm not only out the credit, but they might also charge me an additional fee. If I'm making plans with friends and it's maybe an undertaking that I might have some trepidation about, if I commit to it with someone else, I now have something to work towards versus something to shy away from. And so when people are aware that I'm working on a thing, it means that I kind of have to confront it because I don't want it to come back and say, oh, I didn't start. I didn't even try it.
Mm-hmm.
And
so planning.
Exactly.
Planning is like the biggest thing. Having a plan, putting it down somewhere, whether that's in a calendar or whiteboard, something where you can actually create a plan to follow. It's not just in your head. Like having the idea and keeping it in your head, that's not a plan.
Asterisk and underscore here.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking for the worst of us, I have told thousands of people to use a whiteboard or calendar to make a plan. And I have also, even as recently as this year, had a hissy fit when someone told me asked me, why aren't you writing this down on a whiteboard? Right. So I just want to free some of for our listeners. We are all to some degree perfectionists. We are all to some degree control freaks. And it comes from whatever traumas and insecurities and fears that were caused to you over the course of life that you had, right, and have. And so we're still responding and reacting from those places off and on. And I just want to free someone and say, I love you and me too, right? So we know these things and sometimes our emotions get in the way and our dysregulation gets in the way, but none of that shit changes the truth or the fact that the whiteboard or having a plan or writing things down, it always is helpful. Even if you emotionally feel like you're beholden to something or you're having to show up and be graded on something, that's anxiety, that's the fear, that's the ego, that's tripping, right? Because in reality, when you write it down, when you externalize it, that need to keep it internal, that's anxiety, that's neuroses, that's fear, that's ego. Putting it outside of yourself, like Devin and Aaron are saying, is the first step of accountability. Let's call it that.
It is. It's getting it outside of your head, like you said, externalizing it. But it's not, the plan is not written in stone.
No.
Yeah, not at all.
It's not something to feel guilty on. And again, we try to avoid it because we're like, oh, well, if I write it down, then I have to follow it exactly what I said.
Right.
Your best, your best laid plans often go awry. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
So it doesn't.
For us, most of the time, just let's call it, for people who are neurodivergent, yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah. Like we can't predict the future. We don't know how it's exactly going to go. However, we're going to be a little bit more effective if we at least have a plan going into it. It's kind of like thinking of a vacation, right? If you don't have any plan, you don't know where you're going to stay. You don't know what activities or attractions you're going to see. You don't know where stuff is. You don't know where restaurants are or whatever the things you are interested in seeing. If you have no idea where any of that is, and you're just like, I'm going to just show up and I'm going to be there and get off the plane. I'm going to figure it all out. That's
not, Aaron, that's not a vacation. That's a game show.
Yeah, a Survivor. No.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we need that little tagline for Attention Different. What you just described, not a vacation. That's a game show. Yeah,
it probably won't work out the greatest to not have any sort of a game plan at all going into that. Now we don't have to have it plan to the minute. It's not like, okay, we have 5 minutes here, then we go from the lobby, then we have to get, quickly grab a sandwich. We're going to grab it to go. And then we're going to have to go in the pool, but we only have 15 minutes because then we have to go back to the hotel. We have to get ready for dinner. And then we have to go down to the maitre d' and we have to tell them
I'm like stressed and supplicating already.
Yeah.
Also not a vacation. Whatever you just did.
Too much structure. Too much.
Those are those people that are maximizers, try to get everything down. And then you also set yourself up for failure because you're over planning, overthinking. Of course, when you're doing that, like we want to allow for some amount of flexibility in the moment and allow for things to just kind of unfold and for you to experience things. So I like to look at plans as like, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of a plan. It's a draft. It can change. It can be adapted to life, to circumstances, to energy levels, to capacity in the moment. It's okay. You can adapt it and be flexible. Mm-hmm. But having the plan is going to give us more options and give us more of a structure to operate within. It builds that scaffolding to be able to
is there a point,
us.
I'm asking kind of like, forgive me for a little naivete, but is there a point very soon after that where it becomes more rigid?
Yeah, here's the thing. Consistency, when we're developing a process, we want to have some amount of, I guess, I hesitate to say rigidity because rigidity boxes us in to things and I think builds too much pressure sometimes.
But the words commitment and discipline.
Structure.
I would say firm. Maybe say firm or solid.
Okay.
Structure. Sure. Instead of rigid, maybe some more firm but adaptive structure. And that's where I have a firm commitment. I've layered on layers of accountability, like Devin said. So whatever the commitment is, if it's like, I'm going to go to these 3 workout classes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're an hour, they're between 8 and 9 a.m. or whatever the time is. That's the structure. The accountability layered in naturally, the consequence, as Devin said, right, is I pay for it. I sign up early. If I cancel, they not only, ding me, but I get charged extra for late cancel fee. Mm-hmm. So that I get the support and the structure of having to show up and go somewhere. I've scheduled it ahead of time. So that's the plan. But there's also a built-in natural consequence if I fall short of that. And that's a perfect kind of example of a healthy amount of structure. And then to be flexible. Let's say you have this routine. It's Monday through Wednesday. You want to do the workout. But let's say you get sick. How do you adapt that for that week? Do you feel guilty and shame that it didn't happen? Or what do you do? What do you think you do, Devin, in that situation?
I mean, you get a little frustrated, but you literally are not capable of meeting those expectations. So you have to, readjust them. Maybe you want to get back into the flow of things at, full speed when you're feeling better, but you literally can't, and you shouldn't expect anything different. Depending on, what you're able to do, maybe you just go for a walk because you don't want to show up in one of these poorly ventilated spaces where everybody else is sick now. And now that has affected other people's lives, depending on what you're doing. Like if I try to go to my boxing gym with a cold, there are people who are training for fights who have been working on this for years, and they might have to miss a fight because I couldn't be bothered to skip going to the gym because I know I said probably, but because I need to be at home getting some rest.
Different probably there. Different use for both.
Yeah.
To put into other words, almost exactly what Devin said. This is when self-soothing language and grace enter the playing field, right? So I have to skip gym days all the time. I don't like it. I don't even like being called out early from the gym. Like if I have to cut it off half an hour early, right? Like if I don't get my steam room meditation in my shower, bougie shit, But it's for me. That's my church. That's where I energy regulate every morning. So if my partner's parents are visiting for the weekend, a wonderful gift, truly, they came with gifts. It's Christmas time. And it's the holidays. I didn't get to go to the gym on Saturday and Sunday though, because you're doing parent stuff, doing family stuff. And to miss 2 or 3 days starts to get situation critical with my energy management, discipline, routine, etc. In those moments, which are the toughest,
Again, being really clear and grateful and graceful for our listeners, which are the toughest. You get pressed up in this potential shame rumination spiral. Like the routine's not right. There's a lot of potential failure in front of you all of a sudden, right? I failed to go to the gym. I failed to regulate my energy. I failed to this. And now I'm failing to be a nice guy. I'm failing to be a cool partner. I'm failing to be sweet and chill. I'm failing in those moments critically, we need to be uncritical of ourselves, right? It's a moment, a DEFCON 1 moment of grace and self-soothing language. Devin was exhibiting it, right? I am sick. If I go to the gym, I may make other people sick and I may make myself sicker, right? This is not the 70s. We're not taking a shot of whiskey and a cigarette and going to the treadmill, okay? If you're sick, we go home and we take care of ourselves. From that point on, we have to, and I'm sure Aaron will back me up with some practical steps in a second, but use self-soothing language, give ourselves grace, take the hint from others who excuse you from that thing. I mean, this doesn't always happen. Sometimes there are people who say, hey, you're sick, go home, right? Listen, when people tell you that, it's not a judgment, it's a gift. It's someone saying, hey, you need to go rest. And that means that people are thinking about you, considering you, taking care of you, right? So it's this. I used to tell my sister, I'll leave it here, and then Aaron, I think practical steps. But I used to tell my sister back in the day who would get anxious about having a cold or some kind of infection. She was very sick, anxious, right? It would trigger anxiety. And I would say, kind of pulling from my mom's practices. Hey, Jen, just like think of it's a cold, right? Yeah, it's a cold. With the cold tower in her head, dying. In 2 weeks, it'll be gone functionally. No cold lasts that long, right? Not even bronchitis if we're treating it right. So like in 14 days, this will be gone. Can you think about or imagine a day 15, 16 days from now when the cold will be gone? It will go away. And so if we would do that and like chew on that and practice that, there is self-soothing, right? It was some cognitive behavioral therapy moments there, right? Imagine a day when this will be gone, because it's not chronic, so that stuff like that.
Yeah. You'll come back, you'll bounce back, you'll decide when you're going to give yourself that leniency and latitude of like, all right, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to recover. I'm taking a break on this. And I know it will be hard to come back. It always is, right? Even if we take a week off or 2 weeks off from the gym, it's going to be hard going back that next time. So we'll have to give ourselves some permission to say, well, when I return, I might start a little slower. I'm not going to be able to go as hard as I did right before. I'm just got over the sickness, but I'm just going to show up. I'm going to get back on the horse and do the thing and reset. So finding those reset points, deciding on doing that and doing it ahead of time. So what the concept here, the actual step here too, is pre-deciding. So as part of your plan, we plan not just for it going perfectly. What we have to plan for whenever we create the plan, especially as you're doing these process goals, we constantly come back to a few questions, right? We ask ourselves, does this thing require significant amount of willpower? And does it require an inordinate amount of motivation to do and to keep up with, be consistent with? If the answer is yes, we need to go back to the plan and make it a little bit more reasonable, realistic, or add in more accountability structures to help us. Because if we're relying on intrinsic motivation, we're setting ourselves up for failure. That's not a ADHD friendly plan. That's one of the hardest things for us to find and to cultivate within ourselves on a daily basis, is this internal drive to show up and do the thing.
And may I add, it doesn't matter. I want to like kind of distance people from like the hype. I've had a lot of conversations. People are like, but I get hyper focused on something I love. And I used to say this too. And I've had a different experience at 34 and aging, getting older. Even the stuff I really love, I can't rely on intrinsic motivation. I love to write. But for X, Y, and Z reason, I will go months without writing a goddamn thing in a notepad because of shame or emotional. Yeah. But like, I love to write. I love to play the drums, but I will go months and months and months without ever touching a drum kit. Right. So I want all those people out there, I'm winking at you, who go, but I can get to a flow state. I hyper focus. No. What Aaron said reigns. I want you to listen to it again. Intrinsic, internal motivation is not reliable for us. So stop it. Even if you love the thing, it won't work every day. It won't. It just won't.
What happens? We get excited for the first a little bit. Oh, it's a new gym. It's a new plan. It's a new class. Oh, I'm excited about this thing. And the excitement and the novelty factor, that's there maybe for the first couple weeks, couple months.
That's your intrinsic motivation right there.
Yeah.
That honeymoon phase, you had internal motivation, but it was novelty based most often or more often. And once the novelty goes away, the internal motivation engine will too.
Yeah. Okay. At that point, it falls back to our plan, not the motivation. So good things to always do.
Our plan, but also, and I want to know, this is a conversation for a little bit later or maybe another time, but I think we also we attach our reward to different feelings, right? So instead of the novelty, the reward evolves. What we're being rewarded with no longer reflects what we were being rewarded with at the beginning.
Yeah, the feelings of the reward changes throughout the process. And rewards are another aspect of the ADHD brain that becomes difficult. Our reward signaling in our brain, how we feel the reward of doing something is different for everyone, but I think we experience the reward differently than the neurotypical brains. We need a higher amount and more immediate type of rewards to feel it. And what happens is if we have at first those natural rewards of the excitement of, oh, it's a new class. I've met some people here. This is great. The teacher, oh, I'm really excited. Oh, they played this great playlist. It's awesome. Like, there's a lot of cool things that you're latching onto that feels rewarding. But then over time, we get used to that stuff. And now it's like, oh yeah, that teacher. Yeah, those people. Hi, I say hi. Okay, now I'm on the exercise bike. I'm doing the thing. It's not as like exciting anymore. So what do we do then? And that's where this like our plan and our structure come in to help us achieve that consistency. So we want to address and take account for all the obstacles that may come up. And a good question to ask yourself as you're designing these, like your process goal, ask yourself, where do I tend to fall short? Where do I tend to experience when I've tried this in the past? What gets in the way? What are the barriers or obstacles that get in the way for me being able to consistently do this thing?
Internal and external, I imagine.
Internal and external. Yeah, it could be thoughts, could be emotions, could be situations, could be materials that you need.
It could be materials
to do the tasks. Like, oh, I can't find my gym shoes, or I can't.
Right.
It takes me too long to pack up all my stuff, and well, if that's the case, make it easier, right? Remove the barriers and make it easier to do the thing and less effort going into starting it, because that's something we can control. Like when we talk about wanting to control things, like we can't control an outcome, but what we can control is what's our behaviors towards doing something that is within our control that could set us up for a better likelihood of success. So if I have my gym clothes packed and they're in the car and I have my shoes right by the door and I know all I have to do is put my clothes on that I set out right next to the bed and put my shoes on, then I have my bag and my lock and all my stuff like already ready to go. It takes way less effort for me to have to actually just like make the choice to do that than it would be to be like, okay, well, I have to get all the things together and find it and then pack it and then get out the door and, oh, I forgot the water bottles. I have to go back in, and like all of those steps get in the way.
What you thinking?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was actually wondering if it's possible for these outcomes to try and discover processes that you find as satisfying as that outcome you're working towards. So for example, with what you've described, I like being able to pick out the clothes I'm going to wear for the gym the night before, because it means I'm not scrambling to try and find them. When I'm doing something fitness related, I like the idea that the outcome is that I'm better at it, but I also just like the sensation of working on it in that time. The same could be said for practicing music. So
what do you get? Like, describe that some more. What do you mean?
Sure.
Like, how does that feel for you?
So if I go to boxing and we're really dialing in technique, which we usually do, I feel better that I've learned a little bit more about technique and have practiced it as compared to the last time I was there. If I'm, practicing something with bass, if I figure out how something works, or maybe because I've been practicing scales or a variety of different songs, then I enjoy that I can do those things a little bit easier, even if the outcome is still something that I perceive to be in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm enjoying the process enough.
Let me ask you this. What is that, connecting that to your value? What is that? What is that fulfilling in terms of your values when you learn that new boxing technique or feel that achievement at the gym by leveling up some skill area?
Progress. I feel like we're typically not static. And when we work towards something, I mean, people complain about not being perfect. And I know that I myself struggle with the idea of perfect being the enemy of good. But I do believe that there is always something to work towards.
But underneath that.
I was going to say
progress. What's underneath that?
So progress, Hornsby.
I mean, for me, it's just a sense of fulfillment in knowing that I went out and tried the thing. It doesn't really factor into failure. I went, did it work? Maybe I didn't learn as intuitively as I thought I would have liked, but failure just doesn't factor into it. It's just, I worked on a thing and I want to continue to keep working on those things because I find the process fulfilling.
And what does the fulfillment speak to for you? So I feel fulfilled, but what does that speak to within you?
I think these things just tend to align with what I want to do in and outside of work. Even if I wanted to tie this to work, maybe I'm learning something in Salesforce. I think it's just the acquisition of knowledge. It's just having an opportunity to learn something new.
Learning. There you go.
That's an opportunity to learn something new, just to make it a little kind of fancy the way Devin did there. But the value, right? Creating opportunities to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what we did there is kind of this like almost why technique here of like, because we're usually
I figured you were trying to get something out. It's like, could it be the learning part? Nah, maybe.
I love we're totally referring to the why. You know why?
Yeah.
Why technique is great.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because at first we think, well, why am I doing it? Well, to do this. Yeah. And then it's like, all right, that's the surface. All right.
Yeah.
Well, why do you do that? Oh, well, that. Mm-hmm. You're still not there.
Mm-hmm.
It can take you 3 or 4 times to dial down to the root of the why. And the root for you, what I was hearing is this love of learning, this lifelong learning, like this personal growth, like that is some kind of a more core value within you. So it doesn't matter the context. It could be the base, it could be the gym, it could be whatever, it could be something at work. But if you're learning and you're growing, there is something intrinsically motivating about that. And that's good. And that's why we started out with values to begin with, right? Because if you can define that and you know that about yourself, it's like, I love to learn. I love the self-development and growth. That's a value of mine. Then you're not like doing it for some surface level purpose. It's not like I go to the gym so I can win the next boxing
I was just about to say, I'm going to add on, like compare notes, because we have Devin, right? Devin in playing base. We got Steven. I don't go to the gym because it makes you look hot. First of all, that's a fallacy. Second of all, I do not go for a surface reason. It's a nice bonus to look conventionally appealing in a conventional world to conventional ass people. But that's not why I'm going. My value is to go all the way deep, is that I want to live a regulated life. And that requires feeling physically balanced and capable, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a gym. It could be soccer or snowboarding or biking or whatever. I like to feel physically able in the ways that I do, right? Like I like to feel ready to do a physical thing, right? And there's balance in it. I feel energy balance. So one of my values is to live a energy balanced day as much as I can. And part of that happens to be going to the gym, but it could be any physical expression, but to attain energy balance, which is a value of mine. Energy. Balance is the word coming in, but I mean like peace. You know what I mean? Like I want energy harmony, right? And to get energy harmony, I gotta do something physical, physically extraneous, hard every day.
So we can like you said, Stephen, like we can have the surface level motivations, but those aren't going to work. They're not going to help us with consistency.
No,
with
staying in shape, a six-pack wouldn't have worked because my body fluctuates.
Everybody
just to lose weight, just to focus on aesthetic, just to get stronger, whatever, to lift this certain amount or run this distance. No, all that is just, those goals are flat. They're all outcome.
fixed, but they're malleable because of time and aging. They change. Those goals change. Like, isn't that funny? Like, they seem fixed. Like, I want to run a marathon. Like, okay, well, yeah, there's a window of time in which you'll be able to do that. A lot of people can push it, but like, to every person, it's kind of an individual journey of fitness training, whatever. Like, yeah, to set a fixed goal is sort of funny on its face because we literally change like every decade.
Oh yeah, we're evolving constantly. Like, I can't run a 400 like I ran in high school.
Absolutely not.
I can't jump. I can't jump as high as I did in high school in the basketball court. Like, I remember I could get about that high above the rim. I could almost dunk. Right now, I'm lucky if I could probably touch the net. I'm like,
girl, I pull a hamstring. What are you talking about? I would tear a hamstring. I would if I tried to get that far above a basketball rim right now. First of all, I'd have to be wearing cleats. I'd have to be in grass so I get enough traction, and I would tear my left hamstring.
I actually did this. Not fully, but like, I remember I was showing off. I was like, I had my trainer there, and we went to his gym that he had in his little studio, and I was like, hey, watch this. Like, I'm going to show you how high I can
Famous
jump.
last words.
And he's like, whoa, you sure? Like, he kind of cautioned me, like, no, got it. Don't worry. Like, how long has it been since I tried to like touch the rim? It was a long time, right? I mean, like, years. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is easy. I'll touch the rim. That's fine. Like, I'm imagining soaring through the air, touching.
In reality, Bill Murray from Space Jam.
In reality, I get up there, I build up this speed, and then I do an awkward, untimed jump, and then like I come down awkwardly on my ankle, and I kind of like twist it a little bit, and I'm just like, and I barely like got up to anywhere near as high as I thought. And I was just like, I'm gonna put my head down and walk out this room. The walk of shame.
Oh my God.
It was a harsh, rude awakening.
Yeah. Devin, wait, Devin, when give us one moment of when your body told your brain that it was wrong.
Oh, probably. So I aggravated an old injury from 2018 over the summer, and I fully threw my back out putting on my socks on the 4th of July this year.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Your back out pulling on socks, which was that happened because
that is such an old man move.
Yeah, because of the injury. Oh yeah,
I was putting on my socks.
Oh, sneezing was real rough.
Just bent over and and before I knew it, my back was out.
Sam had to take my socks off. I could not do it on my own, and then I just had to lay completely horizontal in bed for the rest of the weekend. So that's how I spent the 4th of July this year.
I'm not that's a wow.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I mean, not to blow up her spot with Marlena, who's been on the pod before, threw out her back putting on jeans infamously once. We're like just putting on jeans too hard.
It's rough. Like, I threw out my back. I got excited earlier in the year because I saw a blue jay. Time comes for us all, man. Bird watching.
You got
back and knee problems. Yeah.
Your back started to hurt because you're like, oh my God, a blue jay. Ow.
I mean, they were both parallel, but I think they are related.
All this said, just to come back to the topic and relate this to what we're talking about. Yes, we have to be somewhat flexible and adaptive. That's where the firm but adaptive comes in.
That's what you did there.
Because we need to be adaptive to our state, our age, like how we're feeling, our energy levels, a lot of different things of how we're showing up. And if it's a process, not an outcome, we're not worried about, did I get in a full hour's worth of a workout? Did I run the mile? Did I do all of the sets? Did I, and I know we're talking a lot about workouts and stuff, but it's just as an easy example,
it could be stationary, gardening, going to any kind of physical activity, but also any kind of reading books, reading more, listening more. Any activity that you would call a New Year's resolution.
Yeah. So like, okay, yeah, it's like reading books or something, right? Like, it's not, you have to read, you don't have to finish the book. It's like, if the process goal is to show up and do a little reading each day, you can have an idea in your mind of, okay, I want to read for 20 minutes. per day in the morning
Right.
before work or something like that.
The
Like,
difference between that and I need to read 12 books this year. My New Year's resolution is to read one book a month.
Or like
Yeah,
12,
or a book
pages
a
a
week
day
or
or something.
something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
did that myself where I just decided I need to read, but I won't specify for how long and I won't specify a page count. And I found myself starting to read more often because I didn't have an expectation that I needed to meet.
yeah. Yeah. And it can help like both ways. Like for some people, know yourself, know thyself, right? Like for some people, having some metric can help them. For others, having metrics at all feels like too much pressure, especially if you're perfectionistic. If you put on too many metrics, like I have to read for 20 minutes, I have to do this, like I have to do that. It gets in the way. And I think like the main thing is starting it and doing it. So whatever gets you to show up and to do it, do that. So experiment with this a little bit. Try setting a little bit of a metric. If that doesn't work for you, lower it, take that out. Just say, well, I'm going to show up and read once a day. I'll try to do this in the morning. Okay, that might be structured enough. Like before I squeeze the activity in between, as like James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, we want to do like habit stacking and we want to build a habit chain. So the way to adopt new habits and do it more effectively and consistently is build it into things you already do. So if you already have a certain routine, insert that habit within the chain that you already do. So I wake up, I make my coffee, then I read. Then
Zai talked about this in the fireside. Sai told us this in Winter Park with James Clear, Atomic Habits, that if they're identity-based habits versus quick fixes or hacks, right? So is that what you're describing there? An identity-based habit?
Yeah. Right. So with the habit we're putting in there is it's the habit of I want to read more. I want to become a reader. So to become a reader, right? Or we say like I want to become a runner. I want to run and I want to become a runner. Like because it's an identity. You can't have the identity even for not doing it.
Oh, right. Okay, vibe. Like when someone tells you, like, I'm a writer, and they're like, "What do you write?" And you're like, "I don't."
I thought about writing a book for a while. No. I write I write every morning. Some days it's productive, some days it's not. Some days I write a whole page, and some days I can't even get a sentence out. That's okay, but you're a writer because you're writing. You're showing up and you're doing it. You're doing the thing, and that's the way to think about it for yourself. We will do more of it if it's connected to a value in our identity and it's something we structure enough of that it becomes that habit that we can stack in our life. And when we fail, when we slip up, which inevitably happens, right? We want to not get all bent out of shape for when we don't do the thing. We want to expect failure. We want to expect that this is part of the process of growth and self-discovery. It's okay. Don't get all upset when it doesn't happen exactly the way you think. What we want to focus on more importantly is how we come back, how we support ourselves, and continue the progress. Like you said, Devin, the progress over perfection.
Devin, why don't you tell Aaron why he's either being super eerie right now or reading directly from David's notes? Because Devin and I have been interacting on the Slack, and you just naturally have been checking these little boxes. Could you tell what Tom? Could you remind Aaron what Tom said at the Winter Park fireside, Devin?
Well, it looks like the phrase I'm seeing here is failure is the goal.
Do you remember that part of the conversation? Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. So Tom on the fireside, which you guys can all watch if you're interested in seeing this, we have all the episodes up on our YouTube channel. So go to YouTube /At Attention Different, and you'll find all of our podcast episodes, or wherever you're streaming this podcast. We should have that episode up there fairly soon. We have our shorter interview episodes where we highlight all of our characters who participated in the fireside. We also have the full-length fireside, Winter Park fireside chat that we're going to have up fairly shortly. And
one of our guests, Tom, who in his episode is featured saying this.
So Tom brought up a great thing. I really love this. He said that his trainer told him, personal trainer said, failure is the goal.
Yeah.
And this was a very high level kind of meta statement that I when I heard, my mind was already like, wow, yeah, that I don't think the trainer knew how like
No, he didn't. Tom was explicit. The trainer said it flippantly. Like just like, as any trainer would at a gym, failure's the goal. And they mean muscularly, right? Because that's what they're talking about.
Your muscle fails.
Talking about the anatomy. But Tom, a fellow ADHDer and philosopher like us, was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's revolutionary.
Yeah. That was like, I was like, bing, this aha moment of, oh yeah, that's true. Like when we set out to have a goal, if we anticipate failure is going to happen and we make failure as an integral part of that growth, we say,
expected reward for trying something.
Yeah. Like it's natural. It's a natural and inevitable process of growth. Because if we don't fail in the process, how do we learn? We learn from not from the times we succeed and what goes right and exactly as planned. We learn from those things that don't go as planned and are harder than we thought. And where we weren't able to show up and do the thing the same way. And we had to pivot and adjust ourselves.
Our greatest athletes do not learn to make the shot. They spend 10,000 hours learning how not to make it every single way. And then they eventually start to make the shot repeatedly, but they're not figuring out how to make the shot, flip the coin over. They're finding every way to do it wrong and then not doing that anymore.
And they don't focus on the miss.
No.
They don't like a tennis player, let's say, right? The professional tennis player, the thing that separates the professional from the amateur is the professional will understand. I think Roger Federer said something like, even a professional tennis player, he's like, throughout his whole career, he made like, I don't know, something like 51 or 56% of his shots the entire time. And you think about that, that seems pretty freaking low, right?
Yeah,
you like on the surface, you're just like,
batting.
What?
Yeah. It's very low
50,
percentages. That
just a little bit over 50%.
Yeah.
So a lot of your actual stuff is misses, is mistakes.
But don't forget the big one. You do miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yes, and 100%. You miss essentially the most professional athlete you could name is missing somewhere in the neighborhood of half to all of their shots, right? Because you're either not taking a shot or you're taking 100% of shots, and you're either missing 50% of those or more. The best baseball player, the best batters alive are hitting 34%, 32% of the balls that are thrown at them, right? Like that's really important to hold true.
We put it into perspective. But the key here is what the amateurs do is they focus on the mistake and they let that affect them. They emotionally attach themselves and identify with the mistake. They're like, gosh, they get dysregulated. They start getting bent out of shape. They focus on it. It gets in their head. They start thinking about it. The professional, they expect a certain number of mistakes will happen. They're anticipating already.
Yeah, how funny is that?
They're going through the motion. They're doing their serve. They're doing their forehand, their backhand, whatever they're doing, right? They're just going through the motion, hitting the shot. And they know, some will work, some won't. When they hit the miss, it goes out. What do? They don't stay on that. They don't ruminate on the miss and the mistake.
The next one.
They let it go. They take a breath. They reset. They say, all right, reset. I'm starting anew every day, right? Like, or every point is a new point. Like,
the
score is 0-0. Like every time we serve, it's 0-0. Every reset. Game 0-0. Doesn't matter if it's locked in tight. They just reset in their mind. They're like, okay, got it.
It's landing so hard. If your life of success is 54%, the difference in you being one of the most successful players of all time and not is like less than 1%. Like it's these tiny little exchanges of percent when you're at the top. So for us down here, dude, it's so, I don't know. It's just, I don't know that it's ever been as easy as this moment to appreciate that like starting every point is a brand new one.
almost statistically like a statistical pure truth for Federer, right? Like he's flipping a coin every shot, every point he's flipping a coin, right? So like if he lets go of that ego, every point can be a new coin flip, kind of literally.
Yeah, and you actually think about it. This is the 80-20 rule in some ways. Pareto's principle of most of the success we attain in life will be out of 20% of the effort we put in, those things that we do. If that 20% is allocated to the things that matter, the priorities or the things that really is going to make a difference. If we spend most of our time doing a bunch of busy work and a bunch of things that don't matter, you won't end up achieving results. That's why it's so important not to focus on the result, but to focus on the process, because the result will just naturally happen. If the process is well designed and you do that as consistently as you can over time, naturally the result will happen. The outcome will happen. So I just looked this up just to confirm. So Roger Federer won approximately 54% of all the points he played across his entire singles career, right? But he won 80% of his matches.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always equate, right? How we think of success is not it doesn't equal in our mind how we define, and we can redefine success. Success is not perfection. It's not 100%. Success can be 54%. Success can be 60%. Success can be all sorts of percents depending on how hard the thing is. Sometimes it might be 20%. Like, I don't know. I think there's, depending on the degree of difficulty of the career or the thing we're trying to achieve, as you measure the difficulty level, you probably, let's say a scientist who's trying to come up with a novel cure or something like that, right? For a disease. I don't know what the statistics are for that, but I would say that's probably way, way lower. They probably test out, thousands of different iterations of combinations of drugs and trials and this and that in a lab before they find the one thing that has some sort of efficacy and works to some degree in treating that disease or the virus or the thing that they're trying to work on. It's way, way lower.
Well, yeah, but sorry, we're chewing on the fat a bit here, and I think that the point is bigger and simpler. None of these percentages matter. Yeah. We're going back and forth on Slack talking about baseball averages, golf averages. It doesn't fucking matter, dude. It's arbitrary.
The numbers are all super low for those who are interested.
Yeah, they're all super low, and it might make you feel good in the moment, but it ultimately doesn't matter, because what we're saying, big strokes here, folks, is that when you define what success is to you based on your values, what you value to get out of life and to put back in it, when you strive to define success based on your values, it doesn't really matter, because you're choosing what success is, right? There are certain things in life that if you choose to do, other people will judge your success, and you will have to contend with that. But when we're talking about New Year's resolutions, okay, we're talking about New Year's resolutions, we're about habit formation, skill stacking, becoming, as Aaron said, a runner, a reader, a musician, as Devin said, becoming someone who plays the bass, becoming someone who writes, becoming someone who goes to the gym, becoming someone who plays chess or speaks ASL or speaks Spanish or travels more often or reads every day. Becoming one of these people requires knowing your values, requires making a plan, requires breaking big things down into small pieces and being realistic about what you can accomplish, being realistic about your energy and managing your energy such that you have enough to do these things, and fucking defining what success is to you and only to you, right? Because it's you who gives a shit. And if you continue to compare yourself to other people, then your definitions of success will get all squirrely and weird, and you'll start to feel shame and upset that you're not meeting other people's standards of whatever these things are, right? So that's what we're saying today. Resolutions come from you, should be for you, should be tied to your values, should have an approachable, achievable plan, and should be process goals rather than results goals, right? And I love the conversation about stats around sports. I'm sorry that I came in like a wrecking ball, but Aaron and Devin and I could shoot the shit about this endlessly because of how fascinated we are by how off the point, like we've gotten so far off track with definitions of success and positive habit formation, et cetera. We're trying to reel everybody back in, starting with the ADHD folks and spreading from there, right? Attainable goals, achievable, attached to your identity. That's the life hack. We're not creating hacks. The life hack is attach habits and skills to things you already do. And then, and those 5 things I listed, right? So because I got a little squirrely.
That's a great
here.
summary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was
That's
gonna
good. You hit it.
Yep.
You hit it out the park.
No notes.
I'm gonna leave people because I like quotes.
we love quotes. Leave us with some poetic justice.
I'm gonna leave you guys with something to think about, something to ponder on. Here's a quote from Albert Einstein. Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude.
All right. I think that brings us full circle. And good luck, everyone.
Yeah. Happy New Year is supposed to be around the holiday. Happy holidays to whichever holiday you celebrate. And then Happy New Year because the Gregorian calendar ensures it.
To like, follow, subscribe, engage with our content. If you haven't already, subscribe so you know when new episodes come out. Subscribe to the podcast. Join us on Instagram, our YouTube page. This year, be producing a whole bunch of content. Look for our new procrastination protocol. I'll say that again. Look out for our new procrastination protocol e-course, which is going to be available on our website at attentiondifferent.com. You'll find it there. And if you have issues getting started, initiating some of these things, we're going to break down getting started, getting unstuck, and following through in this flagship course of ours. We're really proud of Procrastination Protocol.
We put a lot of work into it. The 3 boys you see here in front of you, not charlatans, not frauds, a couple of princes, Aaron and Devin. Aaron and I are the co-hosts, and sometimes Devin, of the Attention Different podcast. And Devin, you are the host of our first ever other new podcast. What's it called? And tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. It's called Late Not Less. And the podcast currently is just talking to some really great people about their journeys with ADHD, how they got here, how they feel that ADHD has helped strengthen their passions and where it's also served as a challenge. And then talking about their special areas of interest, whether it's, finance or therapy. And I've got some more interviews coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I feel like 2026 is going to be a loud and proud kind of a year for Attention Different, a kind of a loud and proud. We've been quietly behind the curtain like Oz, the wizard, right? Making stuff and putting stuff together. And we started launching it a lot this year in 2025, but please watch this space, the Attention Different space, www.attentiondifferent.com, Google Attention Different. Our SEO is finally starting to work for us a little bit here and there. So you'll find us on any platform, whether it be a social media or mixed media, right? New media. Look up Attention Different as in not deficit, and you'll find the likes of Devin, myself, and Aaron, and a whole host of other special guests and interviewees and co-hosts and this, that, and the third. If there is a discussion to be had about adulting with ADHD, we're trying to be there. So look for us, look for the logo, look for the brand name, and come be on our show. And also, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, gang.
Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's.